Malice. You know what I'm talking about, that gooey, reddish, purplish, evil substance that coats many parts of the land of Hyrule and is shown to be spewing infinitely out of the corpse of Ganondorf. Forget everything you know about it. At least just for this video. Because what I'm about to talk to you about goes against all of the other popular theories on what Malice is. Such as the theory that it's always been a monster life force of sorts that manifests as a purple colored cloud when an enemy creature dies. Or the theory that it is the very same substance as the evil crystals from Skyward Sword. This theory that I'm going to talk to you about is so different and so crazy that it just might work. It's also kind of nasty in that ew, gross kind of way, so, you know, forewarning here. Let's get right into it. Malice is all over the place in Breath of the Wild. It's in the overworld, in Sheikah technologies, and even in the depths and heart of Hyrule Castle itself. In fact, every form of Ganon we encounter in the game is completely made of this Malice substance. In the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, we can see where we assume Malice originated from, Ganondorf. In the trailer, we see him as this mummified dude that's just sitting there spewing a bunch of thick, tendril-like malice out of his body. Well, have you ever wondered how exactly this rather dry-looking mummified body of Ganondorf is just spewing a limitless amount of malice out of it? The immediate thought here is that this is happening as a result of the original curse of the demon tribe introduced to us by Demise, who stated that an incarnation of his hatred would forever follow those who carried the blood of the goddess and the spirit of the hero. That's pretty easy to understand, but it's when we try to connect that ancient curse with this actual, tangible, eyeball-filled goop found all over Breath of the Wild that the theories start happening. It's because this is the first time we've ever seen Malice, also known as evil, represented tangibly like this, and in this quantity. And it's also the first time we've ever seen Ganondorf wielding or producing any kind of power that doesn't stem from either his own wizard abilities or the Triforce of power, much less while being, you know, dead. The question I'd like to ask here is this: even if Demise's malicious intent has existed in some way for the entirety of the Zelda franchise, which I'm not questioning, what happened to make it manifest specifically this way in Breath of the Wild? What made Malice? Breath of the Wild has long been speculated as being heavily inspired by the works of Studio Ghibli, particularly the movie called Princess Mononoke. I mean, fans of the film will pretty clearly see the visual resemblances between Link and the film's protagonist, Ashitaka. They're both youthful boys who dress in tunics and hoodies, wielding bows and arrows and swords, riding through very green fields on the backs of their trusty steeds. They also both have hearts of gold and epic combat skills. I happen to believe that Malice is also inspired by a substance we see in Princess Mononoke. Spoiler warning for those who haven't seen the movie, by the way. Near the end of the film, the humans, led by Lady Eboshi, remove the head of the deer god, turning its body into a corrupted version of the Nightwalker, spilling sentient goop all over the land that removes the life of anything it comes in contact with. This corrupted deer god goop is what I believe Malice was inspired by as well. Both are similarly goopy, are sentient, and will destroy life on contact. They're also both of a similar coloration, but there is one more similarity that the substances share that we weren't able to see until the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, and that is the fact that in either case, the goopy substance originates from an individual. In the film, the Mononoke Malice originates from the deer god's body, and in Breath of the Wild, Malice comes from Ganondorf's corpse. But the reason why I'm taking so long to cover their similarities is to point out the fact that Mononoke Malice wasn't created without something happening to its point of origin, the deer god, and I believe the same could be true for Ganondorf. The deer god's stimulus was its head being removed, making the Mononoke Malice spread. But Ganondorf still has his head. Could something else have happened to his body that resulted in the creation of Malice? Let me set something up real quick before answering that. In Breath of the Wild, we can see the minions of Ganon everywhere, but their quote-unquote leader, Calamity Ganon, is a mindless monster who is incapable of speech. How could this amalgamation of weaponry and goop have possibly intelligently formulated armies and led forces against Hyrule? Well, let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, The Legend of Zelda was a new franchise. 35 years ago, in fact. The first Zelda game was so well received that Nintendo made a sequel, and this sequel was called Zelda 2. And because it was a direct sequel, it had to take place after the events of the original game. This was before the sloppy timeline stuff. Anyway, so story-wise, since Link defeated Ganon at the end of the first game, Ganon was effectively dead in the second game. But yet his minions ran around the world of Hyrule trying to kill Link just the same. But why, you ask? Their leader was dead, so they should have just, given up, right? Well, in the official game manual, we're given some insight into the reasoning behind Ganon's monsters still roaming about. You see, they wanted to kill Link so that they could then drain the blood from his body and sprinkle it over the ashes of the evil king. Doing so, according to this official manual, would revive Ganon. Now, back to Breath of the Wild. I'm not trying to say for certain which timeline the game takes place in, but many people already believe it takes place at the end of the Fallen timeline. MatPat from Game Theory even has a pretty compelling theory about this placement as well. If this is the case, then that places Breath of the Wild immediately after Zelda 2 in the timeline. The last thing we knew about Ganon was that he was indeed dead, but his minions were trying to revive him with the blood of the Link that killed him, the Link from Zelda 1. We can only assume that the minions were trying to accomplish what we saw them attempting to do in Zelda 2, and that is to find Link and revive Ganon. And what we are left with in the game Breath of the Wild is a revived form of Ganon created out of Malice. By the way, have you ever wondered why Malice seems oddly familiar as a substance? I mean, it's this weird, dark, reddish, purplish goop that we've never seen in a video game before, but it is very similar to a certain real-life substance that everyone is familiar with: blood. Malice has many similarities to coagulated blood, such as its goopy, sticky, sometimes stringy nature and deeply red color. Calamity Ganon's resurrection cocoon in the royal chamber of Hyrule Castle is even stylized to resemble a hanging human heart, and has veins delivering malice to and from the cocoon, much like our blood vessels deliver blood to and from our hearts. The creations of pure malice, the Ganons, are all oddly shaped because they have no actual solid form. They're just globs of coagulated malice with Sheikah technology scattered throughout their bodies, and they bleed out violently when defeated. The final piece to this blood puzzle would be the fact that malice has been shown to originate from Ganondorf's corpse, giving even more credence to its similarities to blood. But the final question remains: if malice is a form of corrupted blood that's coming from Ganondorf's corpse, why is his blood so powerful and infinitely limitless? Well, what if it's not just his blood, but the corrupted blood of Link from Zelda 2? If you think about it, the only way to ensure that Link's blood from Zelda 2 wouldn't be used for the revival of Ganon would be to hide Link's body away after he dies of his eventual natural death, given that Link was able to even avoid being killed and captured by Ganon's minions for his entire life in the first place. However, keeping something like that hidden would be impossibly difficult, especially when you take into consideration the limitless amount of time that Ganon's minions have to roam about searching for the body. So what if they eventually were successful and did in fact pour Link's blood onto the corpse of Ganondorf after the events of Zelda 2, corrupting it with Demise's malicious hatred that resided within Ganondorf and turning it into malice, with the sole purpose of reviving Ganon? That would explain why, even though malice is an obviously supernatural substance that spreads infinitely and can even corrupt pools of water in Hyrule to spread further, it ultimately serves to form Ganons over and over again. And at certain intervals on certain nights, Ganon's malice surges in power across the land of Hyrule under the light of a blood moon. So there you have it, my crazy short theory that malice could actually be the tainted blood of the hero. Now, how does the green hand from the trailer tie into all this? I'm not sure, to be honest. While it does appear to be some sort of either living or man-made construct that's attempting to stop the outward flow of malice from Ganondorf's corpse, it also seems to be not only kind of failing at that job, but also extracting the malice from the body, as Nintendo Black Crisis discovered in a video last year. Some people speculate that it's the soul of a previous Link, and with this theory, that could imply that it is the soul of Link from Zelda 2 trying to do something to prevent the spread of malice, but I digress. It's just too vague to figure out for sure at this point. Once again, this theory is definitely a crazy one, and not really even one that I 100% subscribe to, but it's too interesting to ignore in my opinion. Plus, you guys know I love doing videos like this that just make people think about something different than usual. That being said though, what do you think? Am I onto something here and Malice was created from the tainted blood of a previous hero? Or is that way off and Malice is just, an unexplained goop thing now? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a lot of fun making this theory and hope you enjoyed the watch either way. Please consider dropping a like below to get this video spread around on YouTube and clicking that subscribe button to stick around for more Zelda and Nintendo content to come. As always, huge thanks to all of my fantastic supporters, of which I have some amazing new faces to introduce. First and foremost, I have a new super supporter named Bloody Pirate, who joined the ranks of my elite at the top tier. Thank you so much. I also have Rhiannon and Joseph R., Gabrielle, Autumn, and the B. Saraduka, who have all joined the ranks as well. Thank you all so very much. You have more of an impact on this channel than you'll ever know. If any of you watching are interested in helping the next video come to life, feel free to check out that join button located below each video or follow the links in the description to find out how on Patreon. Also down in that description area are the links to my social media pages. So if you want to see the kinds of nonsense I post like this right here, come on over and follow me on Twitter. That's all I've got for this video, so I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. This is maskednintendobandit signing out. Peace!